What is the meaning of life? It's a question every human being has whispered into the darkness at least once. Maybe in the middle of a sleepless night. Maybe after the loss of someone dear. Or maybe after achieving a lifelong dream only to realize it didn't bring the satisfaction you expected. In the quiet moments of reflection, when the distractions fade and you're left alone with your thoughts, the question returns. Why am I here? What is the point of all this? We are born. We grow, we struggle, we love, we hurt, we chase dreams. And one day, we die. But in between, we search for meaning. This quest is not new. From ancient civilizations to modern minds, this question has echoed through time, through religions, philosophies, and scientific theories. It's not just an intellectual curiosity, it's a human need, a psychological necessity, a survival instinct. Meaning is the fuel that keeps us going through life's storms. But let's begin where many great thinkers started, with the possibility that life has no meaning at all. The French philosopher Albert Camus once said, "The only serious philosophical question is whether or not to kill yourself." Shocking, yes. But he wasn't promoting despair, he was confronting the absurdity of being conscious in a universe that doesn't explain itself. We are thrown into existence without instructions. We wake up in a world that doesn't give us a clear purpose. We are expected to work, obey laws, chase dreams, fall in love, start families, all while knowing that in the end we will vanish. Dust returning to dust. Camus called this the absurd. Life is absurd because it has no clear meaning, and yet we search for it anyway. Like Sisyphus, cursed to push a boulder uphill for eternity, we carry the weight of life's responsibilities only to have them roll back down again. But Camus didn't give up. He said that the true victory lies in embracing the absurd and still choosing to live. In defiance, we create our own meaning. Still, the idea that life has no inherent meaning can be terrifying. That's where nihilism creeps in, the belief that nothing truly matters. And while that might sound freeing to some, it's often a gateway to despair. Because human beings crave meaning like lungs crave air. Without it, we suffocate. So we search, we build religions, we write poetry, we fight wars, we build families, nations, and legacies, all in pursuit of something that will make the chaos feel worthwhile. The Holocaust survivor, Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and the author of Man's Search for Meaning, believed that finding meaning was the key to human survival. While imprisoned in concentration camps, Frankl observed that those who had a reason to live, a hope, a dream, a loved one, were far more likely to endure the unimaginable. He who has a why to live, Frankl wrote, quoting Nietzsche, can bear almost any how. Frankl argued that life's meaning is not something we wait to be handed to us. It's something we must discover for ourselves, often through struggle. Suffering, in his view, wasn't meaningless. It could be transformed into strength, into clarity. And in a world where pain is inevitable, that shift in perspective could be the most powerful tool we have. But even before Frankl, ancient minds were wrestling with these ideas. Socrates believed that the purpose of life was to examine it, to question it, to live consciously and thoughtfully. Plato imagined a world of ideal forms, suggesting that true meaning lay beyond the physical realm. Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, they had a different take. For them, life's meaning wasn't about chasing some grand purpose, but about mastering yourself. The Stoics believed the world is chaotic, full of things you can't control, sickness, loss, other people's actions. The only thing you can control is your mind, your reactions, your choices. To live well, they said, focus on what's in your power and let go of the rest. Meaning comes from living with virtue, courage, wisdom, justice, and self-discipline, no matter what life throws at you. Imagine Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, sitting alone at night, writing in his journal, reminding himself to stay calm in the face of betrayal or war. That's the Stoic way, finding meaning by being steady in a stormy world. Aristotle grounded things differently. He said the goal of life was eudaimonia, which loosely translates to flourishing, a state of being where a person fulfills their nature through virtue, reason, and good character. In many ways, Aristotle's version is still with us. the idea that living a life of purpose, integrity, and self-improvement is the key to a meaningful existence. But others took a different path. Friedrich Nietzsche, often misunderstood as a nihilist, actually warned against the dangers of nihilism. He predicted that as religion lost its hold on society, people would struggle to find meaning. He famously declared, "God is dead, not as a celebration, but as a warning," meaning the traditional religious frameworks that once gave life meaning were crumbling. Without God, he argued, people were left to create their own meaning. Nietzsche's answer was radical. The individual must become the creator of their own values. He introduced the idea of the Übermensch, the overman or superman, someone who rises above the herd, creates meaning for themselves, and lives authentically without relying on societal norms. It wasn't an easy path, but it was a heroic one. Nietzsche's view is both freeing and terrifying. It's like being handed a blank canvas and told, paint something extraordinary. Some people thrive on that freedom, others feel lost without a guide. Then there was Arthur Schopenhauer, who took a darker view. He believed that life was essentially suffering, driven by an endless, insatiable will, a blind force that made us desire, strive, want, and hurt. For Schopenhauer, relief came not through achievement, but through detachment, through art, music, and contemplation. Interestingly, this overlaps with Eastern philosophies. Buddhism, for instance, teaches that life is suffering caused by attachment and desire. The path to peace is through understanding the impermanence of life and letting go. Taoism emphasizes harmony with the flow of life, the Tao, and finds meaning not in striving, but in being. These ancient perspectives all offer different routes to the same destination, a life that feels meaningful. But what does modern psychology have to say? Studies show that people who feel their lives have meaning tend to be happier, healthier, and more resilient. But what creates that sense of meaning? Researchers point to a few things: relationships, purpose, and a sense of coherence. Relationships, whether with family, friends, or a community, give us a sense of belonging. Purpose comes from having goals or contributing to something bigger than yourself, like raising kids, building a career, or volunteering. Coherence is about feeling like your life makes sense, like the pieces fit together. When these elements are missing, people often feel empty, even if they have wealth or success. There's also a fascinating psychological concept called self-transcendence. It's the idea that meaning often comes from looking beyond yourself. This could mean serving others, working for a cause, or even losing yourself in a moment of awe, like watching a sunset or listening to music. Studies suggest that self-transcendence is linked to greater life satisfaction. It's as if the more we focus on something bigger than our own egos, the more meaningful life feels. This aligns with what many spiritual traditions say, too. Think of Buddhism's emphasis on compassion or Christianity's call to love your neighbor. Speaking of spirituality, we can't talk about the meaning of life without touching on religion. For billions of people, faith provides a clear answer. Christianity, for example, teaches that life's purpose is to know and love God, to live according to His will, and to attain eternal life. Islam emphasizes submission to Allah and living a life of righteousness. Hinduism and Buddhism focus on breaking free from the cycle of rebirth through enlightenment or liberation. These traditions offer structure, community, and a sense of cosmic purpose. Even for those who aren't religious, spiritual practices like meditation or gratitude can foster a sense of meaning by connecting us to something larger. But what about those who don't believe in anything spiritual? Can life still have meaning? Absolutely. Atheists and agnostics often find purpose in human connection, creativity, or the pursuit of knowledge. For some, meaning comes from leaving a legacy, writing a book, starting a business, or making the world a little better. Others find it in the small stuff: a good meal, a laugh with friends, the warmth of a sunny day. The beauty of a secular approach is its flexibility. You get to decide what matters. Now let's get real for a moment. All these ideas, philosophy, psychology, religion, sound great on paper, but life isn't a textbook. Sometimes it's messy, painful, and confusing. You lose a job, a loved one, or your sense of direction. You wake up wondering, what's the point? In those moments, the search for meaning can feel like grasping at smoke. So how do you keep going? One answer lies in action. Philosophers like Sartre and psychologists like Frankl agree. Meaning isn't something you find lying around, it's something you create. You build it through your choices, your relationships, your courage to keep moving forward. Another practical tip is to start small. You don't need to solve the mystery of existence to feel like your life matters. Volunteer for a cause you care about. Call a friend you haven't talked to in a while. Try something new, even if it's just cooking a recipe or taking a walk somewhere different. These little acts can spark a sense of purpose, like tiny lights in the dark. Over time, they add up. It's also worth noting that meaning isn't static. What gives your life purpose at 20 might not work at 40. A young person might find meaning in chasing dreams, traveling, building a career, falling in love. A parent might find it in raising kids. An older person might find it in sharing wisdom or savoring life's simple joys. Life is a story, and the meaning evolves with each chapter. That's not a flaw. It's what keeps things interesting. Carl Jung believed that meaning comes from individuation, the process of becoming your true self. He thought life was a journey to integrate the conscious and unconscious mind, including our hidden fears, desires, and shadows. According to Jung, if we avoid this inner work, we suffer. We become fragmented. But if we embrace it, if we confront our darkness and understand who we are, we become whole. He said, the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light in the darkness of mere being. Abraham Maslow offered another perspective. He created the hierarchy of needs, a pyramid showing the layers of human motivation. At the base are basic needs, food, water, safety. But at the top is self-actualization, the drive to realize our fullest potential. In Maslow's view, meaning arises when we live authentically, when we create, grow, and contribute to something larger than ourselves. Another psychologist, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, introduced the concept of flow. This is the state we enter when we're deeply immersed in an activity we love. Whether it's painting, coding, writing, or playing music, time disappears, the ego fades, we become one with what we're doing. In those moments, we feel purpose. We feel alive, and perhaps in that feeling, we find something close to meaning. But the modern world complicates things. We live in an age of distractions. Social media shows us curated perfection, making us feel like we're falling behind. Capitalism tells us that our worth is tied to productivity and success. We chase money, fame, validation, often at the expense of our mental health. Ironically, in a time where we have more freedom and more choices than ever before, we feel more lost. The abundance of options can be paralyzing. The pressure to find your passion can be suffocating. And the loneliness that comes from a disconnected society leaves many wondering if anyone even sees them, let alone if their life matters. The result? A generation grappling with anxiety, depression, and a deep sense of emptiness. But maybe the problem isn't that life has no meaning. Maybe the problem is that we're looking for it in the wrong places. Meaning doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be world-changing. Sometimes it's as simple as being there for a friend, raising a child, planting a tree, creating something beautiful, learning something new, choosing kindness in a world that rewards cruelty. In fact, the beauty of life might lie in the fact that it doesn't come pre-packaged with a purpose, that we get to write the story ourselves. You see, the universe may not care. It may not give us a script. But that's not a curse, it's a gift. Because it means we are free. Free to choose. Free to create. Free to live a life that means something to us. Meaning isn't something you find, it's something you give. So what is the meaning of life? Maybe it's love. Maybe it's service. Maybe it's growth. Maybe it's art. Maybe it's understanding. Or maybe it's just the journey itself. The highs, the lows, the quiet in between. The fact that you were here, that you experienced it all, and maybe, just maybe, that's enough. So don't wait for life to hand you a reason. Don't wait for the universe to whisper some cosmic truth in your ear. Instead, look around, look within. Ask yourself, what matters to me? What makes me feel alive? What do I want to leave behind? Then follow that, even if it's small, even if no one else understands it, because that's your truth. And that truth, no matter how ordinary, is sacred. As Viktor Frankl said, life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose. So choose meaning, choose presence, choose life, because in the end, the meaning of life is the meaning you give it. Let's address the elephant in the room. What if there is no meaning? Some people, like the nihilists, argue that life is inherently pointless. The universe is vast, cold, and indifferent. Our existence is just a blip. It's a sobering thought, and it can be tempting to sink into despair. But even nihilism doesn't have to be the end of the road. If life has no preset meaning, that's an invitation to make your own. It's like being given a blank page instead of a script. You get to write the story. There's also the possibility that the question itself is flawed. Maybe asking what is the meaning of life is like asking what is the color of Tuesday. It assumes there's a single universal answer. What if meaning is personal, subjective, and ever-changing? What if it's not a destination, but a journey? This perspective can be liberating. It means you don't have to find the answer. You just have to find your answer for now. As we wrap up, let's circle back to the core of this question. The search for meaning is universal, but the answers are not. Philosophy offers frameworks, from Aristotle's flourishing to Camus's defiance. Psychology shows us that meaning comes from connection, purpose, and transcending ourselves. Religion and spirituality provide cosmic narratives, while secular approaches emphasize freedom and creativity. No single path is right for everyone, and that's okay. The beauty of this question is that it forces us to think, to feel, to live intentionally. So what is the meaning of life? Maybe it's not about finding a final answer, but about asking the question in the first place. It's about showing up day after day and choosing to make your life matter, whether through love, work, creativity, or simply being kind. It's about pushing your boulder up the hill, even when it rolls back down, and finding a reason to smile anyway. Life may not come with a manual, but it gives you a canvas. What you paint on the canvas is up to you.